marketing apps have KYC. But apart from that, apps like Cred and UPI, these also have KYC. What is KYC? Know your customer. It's a process that they need to do to comply to certain government rules. If they don't do that, there is a huge chance that your money is at risk, social details that are at risk, so on and so forth. So that's why you also need to be aware of all those nuances as to what to include in your design eventually and ask the right questions. And another longer extension would be, say, you have already studied about methods and machines and infrastructure. You could go deeper into who are the suppliers of materials and machines. Now, this falls in a gray area. It is not competitor study, but it's not strictly literature study. It's more like a market research. Anybody know what's the term Reiki is? People usually use it like Reiki karne ja raha hu. Like before you like say buy a plot, what would you do? You won't just go ahead and buy it. You'll go there and see if there's a market around, or what are the things that are there, what might be coming in the next 10 years. Looking for an alliance for their sister. If they get an alliance, they won't just go ahead and talk to them, right? They'll ask 10 more people, okay, do you know this family? Okay, how do you think they are? All these things, right? So knowing about this is sort of a market research you do is like, if I need something, where do I find it? How far do I find it? From whom do I find it? You're sort of understanding the environment that you will have to eventually deal with if you decide to dive into this. Okay? If so, extending that, we'll quickly just look at another brief and take three answers. Anyone can tell me like top 2-3 questions if we had to go ahead and create a travel planning and itinerary app. Literature study starting thoughts. You can pick your hand up with I keep. Anita, please go ahead and unmute.
So for a travel planning itinerary, my first question for literature study would be what area I'm going to cover, like geographically, whether it's going to be all around the world or areas or continents specifically or regions. And then uh, what would be the themes, the possible themes under which people travel, and what are different age groups for whom I can create some content or something which would be useful for them. So that will first start. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Initial questions, and after that, I think once we start diving deep into it, we'll get more questions and we'll get into diving and learn more. Yeah.
Okay. Shoaib, do you want to go ahead?
Yes,
Hi. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I can hear you.
For child planning area, I will ask that what are we going to do? Like if they are group travel planner or they are FIT or is there any flight booking service also, or is there any accommodation service also? So I would ask like that. And what are the age group as the same? And I will say I will do competitive analysis, like who are my competitors and what they are doing, like what kind of services they are providing, and is there any loophole I can.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you right here.
Yes.
What you're doing right now is merging competitor study with the other questions. I want you to answer specifically for literature study. When you say that I'm going to look for opportunities that I can take in the market, make more revenue, see where my other brands are lagging, so that's competitor study.
But in literature review, there is also a competitive analysis now. So
yeah, just See, for example, the answer, just look at Aishwarya's answer. Statistical study published by researcher based on geography, season, finance. Literature, just remember, literature is mostly about learning what exists already. What you are saying is correct. That's a part of your research. Competitor analysis. Competitor analysis in itself is a bucket. So you need to take a step back. Your questions are all correct. All I'm asking you is to take a step back. If you have to design a travel planning itinerary app, what are the questions you will ask? Okay. So I'm just going to quickly pick some. Thanks for sharing. Maybe Simaraj, do you want to go ahead?
Yes. Okay, so I feel that after studying the existing papers, what Ishwarya said, maybe of course we would first consider it around. We can take this into consideration that if a person can be a solo traveler or travel with families, we can research on the requirement. I mean, if you're a solo traveler, where would we can
That we have to decide whether we want to send them to the beaches or the mountains. Rather, what Simar could have asked is, I would go through research that exists or newspaper articles or trends that exist regarding why female travelers hesitate to travel alone. If there is any study conducted by any organization as to which are the areas that female travelers prefer, like the countries that they find safe. Any issue, any particular issues with certain areas of the world that need to be kept in mind while we are designing. And again, somebody else, geography also, someone mentioned the geography, again, deciding where if you want to design for India or for the world, it will most come to you in the brief. That basic scope as to what you are designing for will come in the brief itself. But in case it's not there, that again is a design decision. So you might make that decision after a stakeholder discussion. Khushbu, do you want to go ahead? And your hand has been up for long. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I just typed my answer. I think I would first like to understand how the travel business works. Like, who do you contact, or how do you just connect everything to create that business first of all, and then the technical know-hows of bringing another company to my platform or creating that app, maybe.
Okay, that does come under literature, although it would come like the second part of it is to how to execute it. But your answers are all right because you're trying to understand the execution part of it. Okay, what are the government things? How do I bring in a third party? What are the regulations around it? So on and so forth. Apart from that, if I had to give you some more examples of the questions you might ask, maybe start with understanding how travel in itself has evolved. Like how have there are a lot of studies out there. Maybe you could look at papers to tell, okay, from this year onwards, there was a sudden increase in traveling through flights, so on and so forth, because of these factors. Across the years of studies, we notice that we see an influx of honeymoon travelers in the winters from the east to the west. Some statistical data around this where you are just reading whatever others have done, not other brands, but overall the travel trends. Once you have done that, you might see the revenue aspects of it. Say, for example, during COVID, the revenue parts of it fell down, but then how did they pick it up? There were a lot of ways, ingenuine ways in which other companies, there were case studies around it. So these case studies could also help. Okay? Understanding travel trends, yes, exactly. So I feel the first thing should be the package price. Now, Kriti, it's again a design decision. That is, if you are talking about to compare package prices, that's a really great point. but it will come in your next part where you are doing competitor analysis. Literature review is simply looking at what you are trying to design for in isolation to understand your domain. Now, here I want to point out that I will only speak from an industry aspect as to what practically happens. Most of the times, when you are designing for B2C products, which are similar to, like they say, you have a travel app that you are designing, or you have a food servicing app that you are designing, there are so many competitors out there. There are so many instances that you yourself as users use. Very rarely do they account time for literature study. Okay? Generally, what happens is if you're designing for a niche industry, say I get a project to design for food storage, cold storage app. Say there is a big chain which does cold storage like DHL, and then I have to design an in-house app for them to control all of it. Now that requires a lot of understanding of what cold storage is, what all should come in. What you would eventually see that if you're designing for B2B, that is business to business, the chances for literature review comes more often. The time budgeted for it is also more in case of B2B. You have the understanding what's B2C and B2B?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So, great. Okay. So, Shraddha says no. So, Shraddha, B2B is business to business. B2C is business to customer. So, me being, say, Quality Walls and then selling my ice cream to a lot of local ice cream stores, that's B2B. I am a business, I'm selling it to businesses. But the store that is selling it to school kids who come around in the afternoon to get ice cream, that's B2C, because the kids are end customers. Beyond that time, beyond that point, there's no reselling of the product. So the last in line is the customer. Businesses, so any product that's sold from B2C, business to customer is B2C. Okay? B2B, Amazon sellers, yeah, they are also there. All right. So I hope we have a clarity as to what is literature studies. Like the questions that you need to ask. Yeah. All right. I also went like the decks that are there are very, very detailed. So going through that will also give you a lot of better understanding. Now the next thing that we come is to competitor study. As all of you were mentioning that I notice what other brands are doing, I see where I have a place to make impact. I will see how the competition is performing. All these are questions about what? Other people who are doing that business already. So any question you have about other people doing the same thing is you asking questions about your competitors. Now that is competitor study. All the answers you had given there, correct? It's just that you bucket it here. So if you want to quickly tell me some questions that you would ask for this, because you have already said, but I would just want some of you to like reiterate very pinpointed answers for competitor study here. Anyone? Okay, we have 2, 3. We'll start from the bottom this time. Dhumil, do you want to go ahead?
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
The question that I will ask is probably like across which platforms the app is available, the iOS or the Play Store. How many downloads do they have, the reviews, and so on.
Okay. Okay. All right. So this is strictly, we are again, sorry if I did not mention it correctly, we are again back to the ice cream business here. So not necessarily it has to be digital, but yeah, that's a valid question as to what other brands are doing. Correct answer, whether they are going to iOS or they are just staying in Google Play, That's a good answer. Okay, who else? Prakash, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. The competitor study related to users is completely something related to what kind of what kind of flavors they are providing the other companies with, what kind of flavors, and to which particular age they are targeting to, and could be something like okay, the pricing also, the pricing will also consider under the same.
All of them are absolutely correct. Okay. Anita, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So I would like to know that what other competitors are offering. What is their theme, or you can say USPs, whether it's natural based or whether it has some they have some Mediterranean theme or Indian theme or fresh fruit theme. So what is the unique thing that they're offering through which they're driving their people? What is their tagline through which they're getting people? And what is the online and offline share of it? And whether it's from app or website, where are they lagging? If I can get through some reviews from iOS or from Android Play Store somewhere, because I think whenever I search about anything, I always read the reviews, because through that I get live users' feedback that how they are behaving, how these apps are really behaving, how users are feeling about their delivery and service, all those things. Yeah.
Thank you. Shruti, it's your first time picking up your hand. Why don't you go ahead?
Yes, hello, good evening, ma'am. So for this, ma'am, I think we can set some parameters. We can identify some direct competitors, and maybe in the target demographics that we're trying to enter into. And probably we could have parameters like their brand reach, the kind of customers they're targeting, how they're targeting them, and maybe what sort of range of flavors are they reaching out the customers with, and what are their price points, basically, things like this, the quality of the product, maybe their the outlets, what sort of ambience does the outlet have, so maybe the seating arrangements, all of those things. There could be multiple parameters on which we could compare these competitors.
Thank you so much, Shruti. You're very eloquent. I actually want to take time and look at two things in parallel, what Shruti said and what somebody asked right now. Anjani asked. So just notice that what Anjani is talking about is competitive analysis, which is mostly what all of you are talking about. What Shruti answered was questions for competitor study. As I mentioned, in research phase, just look at getting stuff. The questions that Anjani asked are absolutely correct. That would be the second step to the questions Shruti asked. So it's a sequential process. So what are you going to add as a user experience? That is, where do you position yourself in the market? That's the question. And how are you going to make yourself unique? Is you decide it, you analyze and decide it when you have got answer to that same question for other brands, as many of you have mentioned, understanding the USP of other brands. And how Shruti broke it down into sequential questions. Okay, we look at the flavor range they have. We set some parameters, which is a very logical approach. You do decide in your mind, okay, in competitors, for each competitor, say I'm looking at basket, I'm looking at all storefronts, iBacco, Naturals, Burberry's. So I'm looking at all these. And then I'm also looking at some lower price range ones, like say Quality Wall, Top and Town, and Cornetto. And then I look at some higher price range ones like Opry, and there are other gourmet ice creams that are out there. So you decide on these. One point in competitor analysis, always remember, do not stop yourself I am going to have your stakeholders, your CEO has told you that hamara ice cream will be around like say 200 rupees per scoop. So you're like, okay, I'm a mid-range ice cream business eventually, so I'm only going to look at mid-range ice cream stores, which is a bit of a lopsided approach. What you will be missing at are the opportunities that higher end ice cream shops are creating through the experience they provide, because there must be alternatives where you can do that through your price range as well. And second thing, you might be missing on the jugaads that lower range, like say Top and Town and Quality Walls and this Mother Dairy, all these lower range ice creams are doing. You are missing out on those genuine ways of getting to that point with a lower price. So every time, look at a diversity of competitors. Set those parameters. Okay, for each, say I have listed down 10 competitors, mostly in the mid-range ice creams. So say 6 are in mid-range and 2 on higher range, 2 on lower range. For each of these, I will look at, okay, what is their brand vision? Somebody mentioned the word vision, I guess, Akshay, which is a great thing to look at. Vision is basically what is their eventual thing that they want to achieve through their ice cream parlor. Okay, so you need to understand that thought, the driving thought. For example, say iBaco, if anyone, you must have, one of you might have visited it, you will notice that the user group that generally comes there is couples, young couples. You will find families less families, more couples. If you notice, the way their branding is done is not made appealing to kids. It's real life photos, real life fruits. The lighting is very wide, nice for taking pictures. The tables are placed very, very far apart. iBaco tables are not crowded. They have bigger shops, lesser tables, and you have a lot of 2-seating tables. So their reach is to couples. The way they have designed everything is around young adults. Cut to Froyo land, if anybody has visited. Froyo, for the particular ambience, exactly. For Froyo, you might have noticed the colors they use. It's pink, it's blue, it's white, it's big, blocky things. It's all patterns, and there are a lot of tables. There are these round tables with 4 or 5 chairs. So now that shows that it's made for kids, for families to come in with their people. So these things, look at those smaller nuances and try to frame your questions that way. For example, one question can be for all the ice cream parlors, what is the price? What are the flavors they're providing? What is the kind of customer service? Is it go to the person and take it, or are they serving it to you? Is it pay after eat, or is it pay before eating? How are the table placements? How is their branding, which is a very visual designer, UI designer approach? What is the kind of branding that they are using? What are the colors that users already connect to when it comes to the domain of ice cream? Because then imagine all ice cream brands are sort of around pink, blue, white, and then suddenly you come up with a brand which uses only shades of brown. That might work, that might not work, it's a hit and go, but you are taking a huge risk. To avoid those risks, you understand user intuition. Anybody know what the term user intuition is? So user intuition is basically, no, all right. So intuition term, exactly what Akshay writes is roughly true. Intuition is where, as a term in itself, means that when something hasn't happened, but you sort of know or have a feeling that, okay, this is what is going to happen. Not deja vu, just like a feeling that, okay, I'm going to the market, I have a feeling that it's going to be crowded because that's what generally happens during this time. Or I'm going to the ice cream shop at 10 o'clock in the night and I have a feeling, okay, the chocolate might have run out because kids are on summer vacation and they would have visited in evening, so I have an intuition that I would not get chocolate ice cream. Right? So this kind of a feeling. How does this come? From experience. Because user has gone through that experience so many times that they sort of have a guess as to what's confusion. What we do is we generally go through the trends, what all of you have been mentioning, to make a detailed study of the trends of what already existing products are doing. Eventually, you do your analysis from that, and then you draw out, as somebody mentioned just a little bit ago, that we notice that what they are not selling, and whatever they are not selling could be our USP. Okay? So that's a great answer actually, Khushbu, thanks for that. So all in all, I feel all of you has a really good grasp on competitor study. Most of you have an amazing understanding. What you need to do is just before you dive into the competitor study, take a dip into literature study. And talking about that, somebody had a question. I'm sorry I missed that. I have a question regarding literature, how we get the literature PPT PDF from scholar.google. I tried much. So Anjani, the tricky part about getting Google Scholar articles or published, those papers, the problem is that not all of them are open source. Sometimes you have to message them, sometimes it might include a fee, but mostly you get a lot of open source ones. You can just go to Google Scholars, okay? Go and Google thing, type Google Scholars, it will open another parallel search engine. There you can type in whatever you are trying, keywords, it will give you a bunch of things. Some of them would be downloadable, some of them won't be. On top of it, there are other places like ResearchGate, where you can look for more resources, or just if nothing is working, just directly Google it. Google itself will throw you a lot of indirect links from which you can grab a lot of answers. Kirti, please go ahead. Your hand is up.
Hi, I have a question.
Hi. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, in this particular ice cream.
I think you went on mute. I can't hear you. Can anybody hear Kriti?
Study. So what is criteria for choosing?
Kriti, no, we missed you completely. No, we missed you completely. Can you just go again? Do you mind typing it in? Because I think there is some issue on your side. We just got like bites of what you were saying, half sentences. Type it in and I'll go ahead and answer. Alright, while Kriti types in, these were like basic questions that I had put. Like my first thoughts would be, who are major competitors, what are their domains, major market for each of these brands, which would be around like target groups, articles about success failure of competitors. Now I had mentioned this in literature study as well, so this is like in between where you try to study existing opinions. As somebody mentioned that I will go to Google, look at reviews, extract data from it as to how the users feel about it, which is an amazing way to get a quick understanding without really putting lots of resources and time into it. So you do that. Okay, there is something, excuse me, I don't know why this. For analysis, tomorrow we will look at something, but there is a matrix that you can create. So for competitors, say, when coming to ice cream, two major factors are what is the pricing, and secondly is that what's the health sort of a view about it. Is it like a healthy version, or is it like a decadent version where it's all like sugar, milk, cream and chocolate? So based on that, what is the brand's USP, as you say, or brand's personality? You place them. You know the Cartesian plane, this is similar to a Cartesian plane. This is origin, this is X and this is Y. So you place them on the Cartesian plane to see that, okay, most of my brands say, so if I place everything, most of my brands say come in the low health but high price or mid price range. So the opportunity that is being created, or literally the gap that is being created in the market, is somewhere around healthy ice creams in mid-range price, or healthy ice creams in document. But just to start off, if you want to go back today and you try this out for any brief, like try to find competitors. If today you go back and look at, say, smaller apps like some mental health app, say Headspace. So if you want to do a competitor study for them, you list down a bunch of competitors, put them in the fact that okay, price, subscription price low, subscription price high, and then number of features, less number of features, more number of features, and then sort of you plot. And then after plotting, you can understand, okay, this is the space that I can work with. Okay, I have 2 questions now. So for literature study, do we always need to go through papers, articles, and blogs are also countable? Yes, blogs are countable, but you will have to mention all these resources because certain times some resources are considered more valid, some are considered less valid, and depends on, again, how serious is the subject matter. I mean, if it's ice cream, blogs are amazing, but if it's medicines, blogs have no value, absolutely. So yeah. Extension to Akanshika's question, how reliable or valid is the information we are reading on Google as there are plethora? Very good question, actually. That's a very, very good question, Shraddha. This comes down to your responsibility. So you check your resources. A lot of times, the website that you are on, you can check if it's a well-known website. For example, I will always take the information I get on Wikipedia with a pinch of salt, because that can be entered by anyone. So although it's an extensive source, but it is not a very reliable source when it comes to very important data. But if I get the same data on some news channels article, say for example, Indian Express has published something similar to that, say some actor has gotten an award, but there is a controversy, there's Wikipedia about it, but then I go to Indian Express and I find the same information, then I'm like, okay, fact check done. It's exactly the way you do for any rumor that comes around, right? So you just do double check, you see what is the website name, how many users are there, is it like a well-known thing that you know? Otherwise, just go ahead, try to search in those places. The way I said, if you're looking for research papers, check the university that produced it. That would be a good way to go. Or just go search in ResearchGate if you do not trust Google Scholars. Okay. We're at 9. Okay. What could be the bullet points under which the literature study can be distributed? Interesting question. Again, depends on context. Shikha, that would be my answer. It's a very vast question. If you are, say, designing for, because there is a lot of there is a lot of info available, and it would you would have to. Okay, how about this? That's a good question. I will answer to you with an example. One of my projects. Let's all take 5. Come back at 9:05, and I'll take you through one of the more extensive literature studies I have done and how I approached it. Okay? All right. So I will see all of you at 9:05. Kirti, please go ahead and type in your message. I will answer you once we are back from the break. Okay?
पाच मिनिटाचा ब्रेक दिला मॅडम.
किती मिनिटाचा घ्या की मग बघून घ्या.
1 मिनिट झाला. हे दाखवत बसते ती तिचा स्टडी दाखवत बसते.
अरे तर माझा दरवाजा टाकलाय तोडून. बेकार वाट लावली त्याने. काहीच करता येत नाही. चिंध्याच केलं त्याने भूतानी ते.
तो गांडकाले पुढच्या लेवलला गेलाय.
मी हेल्थ 3 ला एकटा आहे. मी एकटा.
दरवाजा तोडलाय वे.
दरवाजाच नाही ते कलासच करणार आहे. एकटाच आहे. आणि
लाव की दरवाजा.
नाही लावायला येत. आली कलास मी आता चाकूच घेऊन आलेली लेखा. लय बेकार आलेली ती. ऐकतच नाही ती. लाईव्ह आहे युट्यूबला. एक जण बघतोय कोणतरी.
तू वय कसं काय?
आपल्याकडे सिस्टीमच डेंजर आहे. म्हणून तो हलका आलाय आता. ओके, गेला तो. अर्धा तास झाला लाईव्ह चालू आहे. मी कॅमेरा बंद केलाय, नाहीतर
बेकार आहेस की.
लय बेकार आहे. हात सोडला. दरवाजात बास्केटबॉल खेळत जाऊ नको, नाही तुला मारेन. आत्ता सुपरस्टार आहेस ना? पळवून लावला सुपरस्टार. माझ्या ना आता
फ्रीज
लागायचं
पाहिजे
ना.
होतं तिला.
हा.
आधी पैसे देत माहितीये का?
अरे नको, मला फ्रीज पाहिजे, दरवाजा पाहिजे लय स्ट्रॉंग.
फ्रीज न काय होतं?
दरवाजा स्ट्रॉंग करते.
असं आहे का?
पैसे काय हळूहळू ते करत होऊन जातं, पण दरवाजा स्ट्रॉंग नसला ना, ती 6-5 लेवलला गेलं की संपूनच टाकते, चिंदच करते. आता बघ, 25ला गेलो, आता 50वर जाईन. 50ला गेलो की माझी हे वाढेल. मला हे भेटेनं झालंय रे.
ते तिथनं घ्यायचं बाहेर ना.
ती ॲडव्हर्टाईजमेंट बघायला लागेल. मग ते यूट्यूबला लाईव्ह आहे म्हणून ते ॲडव्हर्टाईजमेंट बघणं झालं.
दिसतच नाही ॲडव्हर्टाईजमेंट.
दिसतं.
मला तर अजून एक पण व्हिडिओ दिसला नाही.
दाखवतो तुला, थांब. लेवल 2चं झालं. आता माझा दरवाजा कितीचा? लेवल 3चा आहे. मला अपग्रेड करणं गरजेचं आहे, नाहीतर मी खपलो. लेवल 2चं भूत लेवल 3चा दरवाजा आहे, 2 मिनिटात तोडतं.
होय,
हो.
यांनी कुठं केलं अपग्रेड?
ती एडीत झोप इथं झोपायलाच नाही आलं ना कोण. इथं बी झोपायला नाही आलं कोण.
तुम्ही यालाच की एकटा.
मी एका लाईनीत एकटाच आहे मी. अरे
यांच्यापेक्षा झोप ही त्याला लावली ना.
माहिती ना, पण ही माझ्या आवडती रूम आहे रे. तिकडच्या रूम मध्ये जायचं म्हणजे येतं टेन्शन. दाखवू का तुला तिकडच्या रूम? हे बघ. अरे
2 एका रूम मध्ये.
होय, इकडे सगळी एका साईडला झोपल्यात. नको,
काय लावलेलं
ते ट्रॅप आहे यार, तिथं भूत अडकतं. ज्यानं आदत मरायचो इकडं. 100 झालं ना, ती तिकडंच आहे, त्यामुळे माझ्याकडे लवकर येतच नाही ती.
सगळी मारल्यावर तिथं
तिथंच बुट मारतं. पण इकडं आलं ना की मग रिस्क आहे. आता मी भूताची लेवल बघितली नाही, तिथं लेवल पडलेली नाही रे.
3 होती.
3वर गेलंय कधी. माझा डोअर कितीचा आहे? 4चा आहे. मला अपग्रेड करायलाच पाहिजे आता. आता 100चं जोपर्यंत 200 होत नाही तोपर्यंत काहीच करू शकत नाही. तर 200 करून मी माझी एनर्जी आणणार. एनर्जी आली की वाट बघत बसायचं. तर मारलं एकाला त्याने. आता एनर्जी हळूहळू येईल, तर डोअरला स्ट्रॉंग करायचा.
किती लाईटवर?
3 जण मारली बघ त्याने. 3 जण बाकी आहे. डोअर अपग्रेड पाहिला. आता ह्याला अपग्रेड करत बसायचं. 4 जण ठुकली. नाही ना,
तिला का लय भारी.
कुठलं?
अल्लादीनचा.
हा ना, तिथं लय काय काय येतं. चिराग आहे ना तो.
Oh, hello, hi. Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. I'm saying if everybody is back in the chat, or just let me know that you're back. So that we'll start. Okay? All right. Yeah, we have a lot. Kriti, if you're listening right now, I didn't answer you, so we will go through. That's a really good question. But it's 2 steps ahead right now. We will go through who our target groups are, how we decide on the user in the 3rd hour, when we understand user study through the example that we have taken.
मारून टाकलं. 7 नंबरचा डोअर 5 वाल्याने तोडलं.
Yes, Kriti, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Actually, when you were describing the competitors like they digital branding, like you were saying that the kind of branding you had to use. As I mentioned, there were only 2 chairs, a particular icon brand.
एक जण कोणतरी येते, बघते जाते, येते बघते जाते. आईला शिट, माझ्या घरात गेलं ते.
We have to do like we have to
सुपरचॅट करायला की
the target customer that will be couples or it will be children.
सुपरचॅट करायला
That's a good question. How
सुपर चॅटला अपडेट करायला लागतं, मला ऍड करायला लागतं. तसे होतं.
नंबर टाकायला डायरेक्ट तूच कमेंट मध्ये प्लीज सुपरचॅट.
you asking me? Are you asking me? Do you decide which users to study, or do you decide
बाबा.
do you decide the users for your product?
User for the
पहिलाच माझ्यावरती गेम केला त्याने राव.
Okay, well, I
तुला
will
चेक
answer the
होणार
question.
पहिलाच सुरू चालू झालाय अर्धा दरवाजा
I
तोडलाय
understand
लेवल
what
1
you're
नी.
asking. So the first step is to study what others are doing. Who is having which kind of user as their major user. Then your decision is based on a bunch of factors. When you actually deep dive, you will notice, okay, starting number one, geographical context. Are you near a school? Are you thinking of starting a storefront near a school or near office? Are you thinking of being a B2C brand that has storefronts, or are you deciding your stakeholders want you to be a service provider to catering services? What kind of ice cream ranges do you have?
मगाशी
You have
3
very
भूत आलेली माझ्या रूम मध्ये 3
kids might not
तिघांनी तोडवला हे बघ परत आलं
that
ते
might cut out kids. The kind of ice cream flavors
परत
you
सुरुवात
have
केली
and
त्याने.
a nutritional value might cut out certain fringe customer bases like say
ते
senior
पण असते.
citizens who might have diabetes or other
मी
health
हेल 2 ला
problems.
पोहोचलोय.
So if you don't want to keep those options, then your primary customer is not going to be senior citizens. You are not going to try to concentrate on them. Then what kind of ambience do you have money for? If you don't have like a interior design to provide lighting, all those things, then probably you are not trying to create a space where people can sit and talk, rather just come, get the ice cream, eat and go. Then maybe your target customer should not be young adults who need a space to come and have a conversation. Rather, it can be families where they themselves are a bigger group, where almost all their concentration is talking to each other and they don't really care if the audience is really fancy or not. It has to be well lit because of safety. Again, on top of it, are you looking at a bigger customer group? Like, are you looking at longer hours? Say, for example,
अरे मी
you
जिंकलो.
keep your store open from 9 to 9.
ते चुकून लो पॉवर वर माझ्या समोर आलं.
Hours, then who are you trying to
मी
cater
यालाच
based on those hours?
MVP करून टाकतो मला.
Too much people who are traveling because or really young adults because they would come late at night. Do you want to extend or do you want to have a later store where it comes mostly around after lunch hours to later nights? Then
Yeah, but hell
students
too.
might come in, bigger families might come in, dates will come in, so on and so forth. So there are basically what I'm trying to make a point is these are only I'm scratching the surface of the questions that you will be asking yourself, and most importantly, the stakeholders will be asking and expecting an answer from. Okay, so some of the questions you will get, some of the questions will be asked by you to them, and all these questions, Kriti, are beyond your research and analysis. You can ask these questions only after you understand to understand about the business. All of these are business decisions. These are based, as I mentioned, on certain stakeholder decisions, certain geographical constraints, price constraints, budget constraints, workforce constraints. If you have like a fully digital store like those Amazon things in US, they don't have store managers or like boys to attend to you, right? So you don't have bad boys. So you have to do everything. Now, if it's a situation like that, you cannot target kids as your prime target kids or senior citizens as your primary
लाईट
customer
भेटला बाबा
base,
मला
because
भूताला
it will be
मारायचा.
difficult for them to operate those digital UIs to get an ice cream and go and pay by themselves and go. So that in your target group might be something different. Okay, so all these things that I'm mentioning are answers. What you do in research is ask questions. Is it clear?
Hmm?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you. Shikha, again, that's a very good point. What you're saying, shouldn't that be in the brief? A lot of times it is, a lot of times it isn't. I actually was going to come to that point sometime later, where I was going to talk about stakeholder study, but this is a very good segue to take. When do you think that the brief will be that detailed? So there are 2-3 conditions where you are going to come in as a user researcher or a UX designer, and the situations can be either you are designing for a brand which is new. When does it happen? You are new into employment into this domain, you are working for a startup, the startup is also new, they don't have a brand vision and they just have the idea of product that they need to develop. Now at that point, Shikha, there is absolutely no detail that they have. They might have the detail of the
चल जा पळून रत्ता काय
sorry, please start up white. Anyways, I'm gonna just think. Yeah. So those points where you are what there, you will have to do a lot of research and come down with a set for the corporate to see that okay, these are the findings that I have found. Other competitors are doing this. What we can do maybe is place ourselves here. If we want to place ourselves here, maybe you want to relocate your budget more into the hiring of workforce rather than getting too many flavors. We can do this, we can do that. You know what we are. So here we would have more spending power. So maybe we can charge them higher. There's visual aesthetics. If we see across the streets of Hyderabad, there is a lot of gold, there is a lot of black. Maybe we want to use that aesthetic of the geography we are in and elevate it. All these things come out of research. Okay. Second situation is your company is old, but your brand is new. For example, say Reliance, the company is super old, but what if they want to start a ice cream brand? Now you have a lot of things already existing. You have a lot of research, brand, market research, market data that they have. You may just need to ask those questions to the stakeholder. They will tell you exactly what their vision is. They have a clarity. We want to do this for this target group, and we are looking at strictly at a price range of this and this. What you need to come back to us is that what is the preference within that target group. Now your research questions come down. Finally, you might be hired into a company, say, for example, Nykaa. Now, Nykaa is a company that has been there. It has a customer base. If you are hired as a designer for any existing Indian brand, for that matter, what you will be doing is joining their design team. So they have a brand vision already there. They have an existing customer base. So you don't have to start from ground zero. When you get a feature brief, you will have all these details. What you will need to do there is your stakeholder review takes much more priority than your literature study and all this. So when you are starting with absolutely nothing, go through literature study, competitor study, so on and so forth. When you have something and you don't have something, maybe skip the literature study because they have a clear idea. Just go to competitor study, look at the user study, and that should be it. But when you are looking at something that exists and has been in use, what comes in picture is stakeholder review. Who are your stakeholders who are going to take the decisions and execute it? When I say execute it, if it's a digital product, your developers are going to execute.
Ma'am, your screen is not visible.
That's okay. I'm not sharing my video. I'm not sharing my screen yet. Okay. I'll just go ahead and share my screen in a while. Right? Okay. Let me just thought. There, yeah. So the last point to me is this would be the people who execute it. So based on what context you are in, the kind of information that you will get handy will differ. You have to be prepared with all your tools and weapons to deal with that information and those information gaps. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen? This was
लय का हाय लेवलला गेलेलो
that I did for a startup,
काय उपयोग नाही झाला.
which was working with a very niche project area. They were designing measuring devices
तो चार्जिंग झालं
for supply chain.
किती
Are
झालं
you aware of supply
हा
chain?
ती लाईव्ह असल्यामुळं
When
अशीच होती.
send, yes, so you might have a basic understanding of what supply chain is. It becomes tricky when things that are being moved have to be monitored temperature-wise. Say, for example, I am moving, medicines or meats or fresh fruits. I'm sending avocados from California to India or something else. So when these things, fresh produce or things that are that can perishables move from one place to another. So Satyam, a supply chain is when certain things pass through different stakeholders, pass through different points of contact to reach another destination. So if you want to send a lot of chemicals from India to say China, now that's a bigger distance. You will send it through say ship or airplane, whatever, mostly ship. So you cannot just start and send it. It will have to go through authorities, it will have to go through a lot of ports. In between, you will have to store it because you cannot directly send it. So all these things, it becomes a very complicated chain of things to move goods from one point to the other. That's supply chain. On top of it, when you add the constant of temperature, it becomes cold chain. So this project was around that. Now you might have noticed how much time it took me just to set the context for others to understand. That was my same scenario where I joined in for just one project with another company, and then they want me to finish this project in like a very set number of 4 months, and I have absolutely no idea. If I have to suggest anything of actual value, again, remember their resources, their investment is limited. If I have to make sure that I just do not waste the money they are spending on me, I have to make sure that I'm giving good opinions. For that, I need to understand. This is exactly where your literature study comes in. And you had asked what are the pointers. So my approach generally, again, I would give you a very industry-oriented approach. It might change when you listen from other people. And my approach generally is quickly asking those questions and answering those questions from all my resources. So I need to first know what my questions are. Somebody had mentioned a long time ago 5W1H. So what, when, where, how, who, what, when, where, why.
डायरेक्ट चिंता केला लेवल 4.
How. So you ask these questions. From among them, what is a very literature study question. Because I need to understand what. So for this I started from the basics. I started what's supply chain. So I understand what's supply chain. Now this documentation that we will look at tomorrow is an outcome of reading through almost 20 research papers. So you have so many resources out there, research papers, and then all the books that were there, and then sort of bringing it down as to what's required. So I tell, okay, this is the thing that they follow, what cold chain is, then I come down one level. These are the parts of cold chain. Then I come to some
एक्सपर्ट 1 लेवलला गेलो.
I go through some steps, which are the industries
मारतोय
that
ना
are
मी.
included in logistics, not competitors. Just things that are sent through cold chain.
एक्सपर्ट 1 लेवल.
So I put down some data. I put some graphical look to it. Okay, 30% is this, 40% is that. I put
एक
some
कोणतरी
more
येते
facts,
बघते
like
जाते
small,
बघते जाते
like
कोण आहे कोणास ठाऊक बिचारा.
facts about it. All the
अरे त्याला
resources
तुला
are
ही
here,
करायचं
and
असेल
then
जीप
there. Then I come to the why part. Okay, now that I know what it is,
गेलो
why
बघ.
am I designing like this? Why is this required? Then again, you get a lot
बेटा
of
को कहित ना प्लीज भाई को सपोर्ट करो.
data. Apart from this,
आपण लाईव्ह स्ट्रीम करताना करूयात ना तुझ्या ह्याच्यावर करूयात. तुझा लॅपटॉप
how
चांगला
did
आहे
it
ना
start?
जरा.
I mentioned, right, history of
कशाची
travel.
करायचं live stream?
Have to go through
Huh?
that again.
कशाची
Same way,
करायचं?
I look at, okay, how are these things created? What are the history of this? The trends that have been there in the world about these things. Exhaustive list of functions around it. Now again comes back to what? Okay, I understand the domain. Now I have to understand the product. So what is this product? The technical details of it.
चोपतंय
What
कोणाला
technologies
चोपतंय रे.
used? An exhaustive division of what all
वाईल्ड टू
possible
आर
technologies
आर आर
can
आर
it
खलासच केला
The
त्याने त्याला
same way we discussed about what all types of ice cream it can be. Within those types, what all flavors can be. So that level. Then we look at, okay, if these are the things, how can we classify? So we look at that. Then I come to quickly into competitor study where I saw, okay, these are the data loggers in the market. Adhiraj Kaushal, in this particular literature study, how much can we take help or can trust AI like ChatGPT? You cannot trust AI like ChatGPT in literature study. I would like to want you to go back to the question where somebody had asked, how do I verify the source? This is the reason why literature study takes longer than expected, because you yourself have to go through it. The great thing about AI is it's extremely helpful, but the problem with it till now is that you cannot, like, it can come up with data of its own. So it can just create, if it does not find an answer, it will
भाग
create
साले
some gibberish. And it's very difficult to tell that gibberish from original data. Mind you, it can also create links. Sometimes GPT will throw certain links at you which might not exist, but you would take it on the face value. So my strong recommendation would be to avoid using GPT or any kind of AI for in-depth research, but I'm going to give you, because I do believe that AI makes us very, very productive, I would give you a tip as to how you can still use it. Do this, go and ask the very basic questions to it. Like, for example, here, if when I did this, if I had AI back then, I would have gone and asked, what is a data logger? Can you tell me what industry it is used in? Can you give me some names for the brands that make it? And then I could Google those brands. So it will bring down the time I would take. But eventual detailed deep dive, I only have to do. Okay, even though I get what is data logger from AI, I would not put it in my documentation. I would find a valid quote from some paper or create my own description after going through various sources and put it. Okay, so now again, coming down to again deeper in that literature study, we now have come to how. So how does this work? Now after studying through a lot of literature, I get to know, okay, this is the extensive chart as to how one product function, what happens, who are the stakeholders, so on and so forth. And some more whys as to why people need this. And so this is,
मारूनच टाकला राव
so for now, this is the extent of literature study that I needed to do for a very niche project. Okay? This might differ, the amount of it might differ as to what kind of project you've got. Have I answered your question? I am sorry, I forgot who asked me this question, but I hope this was helpful for you, for everyone. Only one pointer that I would like all of you to take from this is, please notice that the amount of text that is written is very small. Okay? Try to avoid putting too much text whenever you are trying to document your design process, or you're like just creating this deck for your client, because nobody has time to read through it. We create it, so we really like to read through it, but no one else has. So try to change, like for example, I read through pages to understand this, but the way I presented it was a graphical chart. Same, although the same thing was written here, I still produced it in a graphical chart to understand it better. So these are the pointers that you will want to remember when it comes to documentation. Okay, Devi asks, apart from Google Scholar Research, do we have any alternative recommended websites for literature study as AI is ruled out? AI is not ruled out. I'm just saying that take it with like a heap of salt. Do not use it as your
पहिली बळी किती
as your primary source. Use it as a AI in any case is your hand holder. Okay. On which application do you create this document, Priyanshu? Document was created. I created with Bootstrap and InDesign. Like, but this is like just a PDF for us.
लयच मारते लागा
Alright.
ते भूत.
So, this is
असं असते
what this
कुठं.
major study is. Again, I want all of you to notice that not a single point was it mentioned about any other brand. What was mentioned was a lot of statistics, what's happening right now, how is it happening, what is the technology, so on and so forth. We are not talking about users also here. See, we haven't mentioned any users. We have mentioned people who are involved, but we are not identifying them as users or target groups yet. Okay, so this is where you are listening and you are seeing and you are just putting it on the paper. Now, we are done with. So I feel while talking about competitor, we also sort of covered stakeholder review. So I am not going to go into like deep dive because you have already got a really good lecture about it from professor. So I will not be doing it any more justice. But these would be some questions I thought I would ask. Like as I mentioned, if there is an existing audience, what's the money that we are looking at? If there's a brand vision that we have, and what is the goal that we are trying to achieve in the MVP? Anybody know what's the full form of MVP?
Frames per second.
Very commonly thrown around term when you become a UI designer, a UX designer. Minimal viable product, yes. Thanks, Akshay. So it's like the first P0,
MVP.
priority zero
MVP.
task, like the basics
FPP.
of what you want to do. So if you want to come up with something like grid, probably what you will do is in the first version, you will only try to make them apply, like put in their credit card number
Most VIP
and pay
person.
to the app. So nothing else. You cannot save the card, you cannot do anything, just start the payment process. So that's an example of MVP.
Minimum
Like the way Zomato
viable
again started, if
product.
I'm not wrong, it just started as a list of restaurants. You were not able to buy from it. It was initially just a list of restaurants that are out there. And then they sort of built on top of it towards their vision. So that's what MVP is. One of the major questions you can ask your stakeholder is to what is the goal? Why is this important? Somebody mentioned a lot of points. I don't remember who, that we have to do this, that. When you have to do all those things, it's not possible always to do everything in one go. You will have to decide what to keep and what to ditch. That's where task bucketing comes and prioritization comes. So you decide what are my primary tasks that I need to do this time. For that, you need a go ahead from the stakeholders. If the stakeholders tell you, okay, this is our vision properly, you look at the task lists that you have created, do your research.
भाग
okay,
साले
all
भाग.
these things to be done, need to be done, and then you select a couple of them. Okay, I'll do this first. Okay, Rapido has started as MVP, another example. Yeah, every app, Prakash, starts with a very smaller feature list. They can do like just one thing, and then they keep adding on top of it. Instagram, I don't know how many of you have used it when it was an ancient Instagram where we were just uploading pictures. Nobody was replying on the picture, commenting on it.
तुझा मोबाईल दाखव बरं माझा युट्यूब चॅनलला कसं लाईव्ह दिसते बघू दे.
Like not like it. That was it. So that was Instagram's MVP, where it was a place for people to upload pictures. That's it. And look at it now, where you can like do video calls and all. Alright. So expert interviews, again, pretty much very clear. All of us sort of mentioned the questions, but we can also ask some of these questions. So experts who are, again, in expert interviews, I only want to call out one thing. How we treat experts in industry is like we try to classify them. There would be a subject matter expert. Like it could be a person who is an ice cream industry tycoon, like a CEO of Quality, say, or their scientist, or their marketing manager, something. Or the expert can be a person who eats ice cream a lot, or who uses ice cream a lot as a product. For example, it could be a chef, or it could be a food blogger, or just a parent to like a bunch of kids. And then third can be, as I mentioned, somebody with expertise about the ground reality of how to get things done. The way we asked literature study questions about execution, you can ask those questions about expert interviewers as well. So if I translate this and how to reach out to a CEO, you don't have to. That was they
Yes, yeah,
make
maybe.
sure that happens. They have levels. But otherwise, for personal projects, generally try to stick to people around us and whosoever is approachable. If not, you sort of back or secondary research. Okay.
दोन जणाला आहेत.
Okay. Anyways, let's.
हेल्थ 3 ला पोहोचलं
basic
सांगा.
functional warm-up. Yes. Okay. So what we are going to do now is go through what is user research. We have a PPT and we quickly go through that so that we have a basic idea before jumping into trying to use it. I am confident that you haven't gone through this. Can you just confirm? Have you gone through this PPT? Class? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So user research, introduction to it, importance and practice methods. Now we will do what we generally do always. We will go through what is the theory of it and then we will look at how to use it. Now let's look at the introduction. So user research is a systemic study of target users to understand their needs, problems, goals, behaviors and desires. Somebody mentioned
दिसते बघ
SWOT
क्लिअर दिसते.
for their wedding. SWOT is a very MBA term by the way.
मी लाईक करते
SWOT
बसून
is
बसून.
strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It does generally work with companies, but sometimes people include it in user research. But yes, whosoever mentioned it, that can possibly become a part of user research. Why am I saying that? Yes, Shraddha. Why I'm saying that? Because let's look at the terms that are here. Needs, problems, goals, behaviors, desires. A lot of times you might see another
दोन
term
दिसतात
that
ना लाईव्ह
is goals and frustration.
वरती नाव कसं.
Frustrations is exactly the same for
सबस्क्राईब नाही
problems.
केलं होय तुम्हाला.
It's interchangeable. So you find your target group. The first step to user research is identifying your possible target groups. Now I want all of you to remember the word possible. You have to make an exhaustive list of target groups. You cannot just find, okay, I think this is going to be my target group and zero down on it. Then you are going to lose on a lot of opportunity and potential. So you find out all your target users, various parts of it. We'll go through it and explain everything. Okay? And then you form your research idea around asking these questions. The findings and insights identified through the user research help design user-centric solutions. As I was mentioning a while ago,
कमेंट करते
what are
की कसं
user-centric
माहिती. अरे लाईक कमेंट कसं करायचं
User
माहितीच
research
नाही.
helps avoid designing
गेम मध्ये आज
waste,
जड लागलं मला.
and guesswork and create a design that solves a real user problem. So I recently, I don't know how many of you have seen this, I would call it a meme, the post I saw. So there was this kid, there's designer who has designed this a dish for kids to eat which can never fall. So generally when kids eat, generally smaller babies, because in
दोन लोक
Western
कंटिन्यूअस
countries they have
बघतायत बरं का.
independent cells, they tend to throw things. They tend to throw their hands and eventually the dish also in which the plate that they're eating in also ends falling and creating a mess. So this product designer has gone ahead and created a balanced rotating plate that however kid tries to move it around, the food will never fall. Okay, so I try to find you that tomorrow and show it to you. It's pretty great. So they have created this, they have marketed it, they have sold it, and this person has bought it, and then they like a doll, exactly that doll that moves around. It's exactly like that. It's balanced. Now, so this guy who has put a video of this little kid eating, he put the plate. He's like, okay, I've got this plate. Takes a bite. This kid looks at the plate and just flings it across the table. So even though it was designed in a balancing way, because not enough questions were asked, the real user problem wasn't solved. The plate was balancing, but you can still throw it, right? The plate was thrown and there was food everywhere. Maybe if they had considered this, maybe if they had observed, listened and looked users, little kids enough, they might have made like a rubber sticking pad somewhere or some other type So not really the designer's fault, but this is an example, classic example of where you have given assumption and guesswork a little bit of space, and that's where your design went wrong. Right? Imagine the amount of money that might have gone in for absolutely nothing. Next, understanding user end goals. Determine what users want to accomplish using a particular product, service. Okay, what I want to do right now is just take a step back and just look at how to think of target groups. We came across the term target groups. All of you have been mentioning हम देखेंगे target group क्या करेगा, how is the user going to work, how is this user going to work, I'm going to compare. So we all sort of know. But are we able to actually exhaustively list the target groups? Anybody who wants to try this? I know this is going to take a while. So just take a minute and try to list the possible target groups we can have for our ice cream company. Okay. I am looking at the chat. Faster for this particular purpose because I can then
ऊनच लावलं तुला तर
school kids, okay. Kids, okay. I want a good list, by the way, so everyone. Okay. Hi, Mobil. Hey, it's been long hearing from you. You have been quite through the class. Okay, kids. Children, health enthusiasts who like ice cream. Okay. That's nice. That's sweet. I miss ice cream. Okay, but that's okay. Old people, pregnant women. Ooh, that's very clever. Pregnant women have cravings, so ice cream is a craving. You have family group, grandparents, 5 to 30 age. That's a huge range, but okay. Another goes college students, family outings, dessert cravings, girls, yeah. Okay, that's really good. Professionals too for dessert treats. See, look at all of you. This is the kind of staying back and thinking about all of you.
दुसऱ्यानेच
Don't jump
मारलं
to
जरा
your questions. Your research happens in stages. When you are breaking down your research into these smaller, simple questions, and the answer you are coming up with are so much of value. Now, just look at this. Anita said girls can. You might ask
शी
me how
हेल
does
फोर ला
this
पोचलो
matter, even that in India are just younger than
बेकार
how does any element can? If there is a girl, if you are like looking at this as a potential target user, maybe you will create like a lot of females love taking pictures, or maybe you will have good lighting, maybe you will have good offers for them on Women's Day or something like that. You know, create marketing strategies around it. Maybe create like a particular product like cramp relief ice cream flavor, where they can like it could have like chamomile and all that, and they could have it when they are having cramps.
अब मरेंगे सब
These
लोग
smaller details could really help out. Food bloggers, exactly, that's a good point. And make safe and colorful space, lighting, exactly. Health conscious people who cannot eat ice cream, people looking for. So, what we are looking at right now is all of you detailing out the target groups. Then through that, a lot of people with like an emotional relationship with food will also come in. Their mental health and your relationship with food really works, really has a strong connection. So maybe you would like to create like a silent corner, like have smaller tables in the corners rather than wasting the corner space. You could put a table there for somebody who doesn't want to talk to other people, look at other people, or just wants to have like an ice cream at the end of the day. Exactly, like a stress buster. So that would be great. Age group 20 to 30, geography metro cities, problem area tea break snack for professional storyline, fresh flavors, reconnection of nostalgia. That's very particular, Aishwarya. That's very good detailing of one particular target group. What I'm asking you to do right now is just identify your target groups. Okay, my mistake. This has to have a S. Okay. sleeve show you how I went ahead and go like with this exercise of identifying target groups. Okay, so few parameters. Somebody had mentioned the word parameters. Same here. Think of parameters. First, age के हिसाब से. Age के हिसाब से who all are having ice cream. So there are families. I mean that's a bigger group of people, but mostly their outing revolves around children. So the age would be of children. And there would be teenagers and young adults like college people, teenagers who really want to go out there, be in nice fancy places, pretty looking places, take pictures, find some privacy because they need to talk to their partners, so on and so forth. And seniors.
Yes,
So
maybe
with seniors, you have to look at dietary.
गोल्डचा बोनस भेटला रे.
Then second is profession or purpose. As all of you mentioned, like a lot of you mentioned, like professionals can also have it as like a strength buster. So in professions or purpose, you can look at either date night outings where they are just like a very private group of people. Then there are bigger groups of people like office workers and professionals. There can be tourists who have just come in.
आ जाओ हेल्प 4 में आ जाओ, हेल्प 5 में पूछ लो.
It can also have another group that is
कोण आहे कोणास ठाऊक, हे एक येते आणि
that
बघते
is
आणि
based on
जाते.
purpose. Now when I looked at food quality concerns,
दोघ जण बघतायत.
vegan people who might
हे
prefer
यार गेम चालू झाला
dairy-free
की
options,
ए चॅम्पून
and
मास्टर ऑन प्लीज माझ्या रूम मध्ये नाही जायचं कोणी.
you can look
Yes,
at health
I
conscious
got my room.
customers again, and
Yes.
then foodies and flavor enthusiasts. I remember somebody mentioning food blogger, so that would come under this. And finally, we have volume. So till now, we are looking at customers that come directly, so their volume is, if we look at a bigger volume, so maybe we can look at like schools and institutions and offices for which we provide that ice cream for their lunches, or event planners and party hosts. So this was an exhaustive list. Now, having said that, I have like what, 11 sets plus 2-3 more that I mentioned on the go. You cannot possibly do your research for everybody, right? Because you won't have that resource, you won't have that time. Eventually, the amount of information that you will get might not be used. So this is exactly where you identify your primary target group and secondary target group comes in handy. I will just take one moment to address Devi's comment. If it is Domino's kind of business, online platform will be selling place and different products will be available for different age groups. If it is Greenstone kind of business, flowing public will be main target and mostly will be kids, because Chota Party gang and immigrant customer. It's a good way of looking at this. So you are already picking the product variation as to, okay, if I do this, this is required, this is required. Devi, I would encourage you to, again, take a step back. Don't look at your product's embodiment. Do not think of it right now as if your business is going to be online or offline. Just try to do one thing at a time. Think who are all the possible target users, okay? There is some word called fringe case or extreme case, not extreme, we'll call it like fringe case scenarios. That is very less possibility of it happening, but it will happen. There is a chance of it happening. We also call it like edge case scenario. These are like the terms that we use in office very regularly. So you can use the same understanding for target groups as well. While listing it down, list everything down exhaustively. Do not like say, okay, nahi, ye nahi ho sakta. It's just too less to be concerned about.
भाग साले
You
भाग.
take that decision after listing it down. First list everything down. See, target groups is exactly arranging your birthday party. You first write down, okay, office se ye, college se ye, ghar se ye, and then you create a list. And then you look at that list, okay, I have this much amount of money. I really don't want to spend on all these people. These people don't care, so I'm going to cut these people out, eventually I come down to a group of 15 people that I really want to spend my birthday with. Same concept. In any case of prioritization, okay? So this is how I approached the identifying target groups. Rather than shooting out in the dark, I tried to do it on the basis of parameters. Having said that, it's not wrong when you just do it without parameters. There is a risk
अच्छा,
that you're running that you
दुसरा
might miss
फायदा
one or
भेटेल.
two, but still that's okay. Some people function the other way around better, so that's also okay. Okay. So going back, are you clear? Any questions regarding how to identify? Did I confuse you in any way? Thank you. All right. Do we want to? Okay, let's do one thing. I just want to make sure this idea is cemented. Okay, we did travel. Let's do this. Somebody was mentioning certain mental health issues, so good topic. Sorry to discuss.
L6.
Quick listing down of target groups. We can discuss with the stakeholders. Adhiraj, that's a very good question. So you can take it two ways. So not two ways, actually one way is that you list down all this. You take your own judgment call as, okay, from among 15, these are the 3 that I see as my top primary target group. These are the secondary ones and these I can give up for now. And then you run it through the stakeholders for double checking. So it's always a double checking method. Even when you learn user testing, so a part of user group user testing, it comes after the design is done. So user testing is basically testing your product to see if users react to it the right way. But before you go to the user, you check it by yourself first, which is called heuristics. So use it yourself and your team members and identify the problem areas, and then same way whenever you are acting any stakeholder. This is, I would say, just informal, just 3 tips and tricks. If you are in a company or if you have a client for a certain project, make sure that you go to the client after doing your own thing. Like you go to them with a solution and let them say if they are okay with it or not. Do not go with an exhaustive list and ask them, okay, what do you think? Most of the time it backfires. Has happened with me in the initial phases of my career a lot. There I'm like, okay, I found all these things. And what do you say? We have so many things. What do you want to do? It just confuses your non-design stakeholders. They are not designers. They are not going to look at it the way you will look at it, and they're just going to either add more drama to it or really get frustrated because there are so many, like there is a decision fatigue. Okay, so Adhiraj, you create the list, you bring it down to primary, secondary, tertiary, or just primary, secondary, and let go of the rest, and then you take it to your stakeholders to double check. All right, what we are going to do is repeat the same exercise of identifying target groups for our this spree, which is like a mental health and wellness app. You can read the brief quickly, Nietzsche, which is it's about mental health and wellness, such as meditation guides, mood tracking, self-care tips. App should include daily reminders and personalized recommendations. So this sort of is a bit detailed. Already Pushpu has an answer. People go ahead, type your answers in. Okay, I have one. I have 2 actually. I'll just wait for a couple of more of you to just trickle in. Okay, kids that are moving. Alright, let's read through this now. So I see a pattern. Students is mentioned a lot. So students who are preparing for exams, and then there are seniors who are living alone. Really good. Like Kushbu, this is good thinking because your head has gone to the most extreme ends of the spectrum of people. You are thinking about young people, but you are thinking of like old people who have who are not even staying with their families, unfortunately. And then people who want to live mindfully. Okay, that's nice. That's very nice. Aged people, I guess. living alone, people who want to improve their mental health. So 5 and 2 are almost equal. Corporate
Ayo.
professionals, yes, professionals, especially corporate with their stress. People who are hesitant to go to therapists and
डायरेक्ट घरात आलं टेलिपोर्ट होऊन
professionals working in stressful jobs maybe there. Kids that
दरवाजा
need
तोडून
Manavi adds another dimension. So till now we were limited to an age of like 18. Now that age has gone down. Students, new moms, elder parents who are new moms. Shikha, that's a very good point. Now you might be aware of something called as postnatal depression. So yes, that. But with moms, you can also add like a new parent category because again, the other parent also might have his own unique parental anxiety. So new parents but yes, new moms in itself deserves to be a category in itself. Okay, young adults who aren't able to visit therapists physically. Here, Gator, that's a very good point. Physically, plus a lot of people don't have the finances to get to a therapist. Therapists are pretty expensive. Pregnant women professionals, psychologists. Pratik, that's actually really good because therapists give therapy to so many people. They themselves end up needing it.
मार
People
त्याला
who are
मार
looking for an affordable solution.
मार
Then,
legend
yeah,
झालाय
that's a
ना
good point. The one
सोप
Bob
त्याला
was mentioning, couples struggling in relationships, so marriage
खत्म
counseling. For military people as their jobs, one of the hectic ones, so they do have PTSD a lot of times. People who are looking for cheaper alternatives, a lot of you have thought of the money thing. That's good. Work-life balance, so I would take it back to corporate. Looking help other people who are under stress. Very important for those who can't more personal space, privacy on digital platform. The only people with childhood traumas, yes, that's bringing it down to a specific problem, but yes, that is needed because here they have already mentioned certain features.
अयो
The only target group I will add to
लय
this,
बेकार मारला
all of you
चिडलंच
have
ती
almost,
माझ्या
put everything.
माफ
The
कर
only
बावड्या
target group is another secondary target group that is
बेकार
like
मारला रे
a corporate company or any
उगाच
company
नादाला
that
लागलं
would want
त्याच्या
to buy the subscription in bulk. A lot of corporates do that. So the only thing that will add is a need for a subscription model and user management requirement inside it, but it will add a very major feature. I think health insurance thing, yeah, sort of like they provide health insurance, they also provide you to like a free, like access to the way they provide you like a paid Adobe, like I have access to like Adobe, I had access to Adobe full suite because my earlier company was paying for it, then I had to buy myself, but that happens. So similarly, currently the company I'm working with, because they're like super high on employee well-being, they do have all these multiple therapy places that you can access, which are already paid for. So it includes like physical therapy, but
डिओ
also
मोड पण आहे त्यांचं
mental
काम
health
चाललंय
apps.
त्याच्यावरती
So that's one target group. People who want to improve their routine by incorporating daily studies. Again, comes down to people who are like mindful. So majorly I see a trend here. Kids with finance and like kids who cannot finance themselves or approach therapists by themselves and have a lot of stress around studies and exams and all that. Second, professionals who have a lot of stress around the kind of jobs they're doing, might have the money but don't have the time. Third, parents is
अरे हॉटस्पॉट करायचं चालू माझं कुठे गेलं
काय माहित चालूच आहे केलाय बघ स्टॉप करू का माझं
काय
गेम
नाही
बघ बरं ऑन केलाय
Recording in
about
progress.
society. Okay, yeah. There are like really cases where they require help have destructive thoughts, that would also a lot of headlines and apps help with that. All right, so we are at the end of our second hour. We're going to take a break at 10. We will come back and look at how to do user research. I take you through an example, but for now, let's use this 1 minute left to look at this. Now, understanding user end goals. Determine what users want to accomplish using a particular product or service. Although this has jumped a few stages, but this is your eventual idea with your user study. Your idea is to understand the problems they want to solve, the goals that they have. Earlier we mentioned this, goals and desires. Eventually, what do they want to do? And the pattern they have set for themselves with the existing solutions that they have. For example, again, taking the mental health thing. Think it's a student. His goal is to get, or desire is to get, no, don't look at this, this is, let's look at this line. His desire is to get some emotional well-being so that he can cope up with the stress of exams. His problem or limitation or frustration is that he doesn't have the money, doesn't have the access. His existing solution or pattern that has been set is that he shares everything with his parent, or he is not comfortable with his parent, so he shares everything with a friend who does not have the emotional maturity to help. So you are doing 3 things here: understanding what he eventually needs to do, how he is currently doing it, and what might be the problems attached to it, what might be the
Charging
opportunity.
the
Opportunity can be that, you know, he's very comfortable talking to somebody his age. How about we use technology, say AI, to deliver the same message or meditation guide in a friendly manner with a voice that is softer and that of like a young child. Like this is just a quick example, like a young girl thing. Okay, so these kind of things can come from the analysis that we do. Okay, all of you, I'll see you. Oh, that's a very good point, Avni. People who get convicted, so like not just wrongly accused, even people who have gone are actually accused, they also are sent to therapy a lot of times because they need to be like helped with that process of moving to a more confined situation. All right, I am going to see all of you at 10:06. Once you're back, just put a message.
बेकार मारत होती आता तिला का.
परत म्हणता बाई. परत म्हणता.
नाही वाचलोय, लय वाचलोय. लपून बसली का ती, हेल्थ वाढवते तिची. आईच्या गावात फुल हेल्थने आले, आता मारणार ती मला. लेवल 5 ला गेली ती, माझा दरवाजा लेवल 1 ला आहे. गेली, पळूनच गेली.
करते.
आता मारतो बघ की यार, डोअरची HP वाढवायला पाहिजे होती.
तुला पैसे कधी पाठवायचे?
दुसरंच जिंकलं दळबदर. संपलं लेक्चर.
1 मिनिट दिन पर.
गेम पॉज करू का बंद स्ट्रीमिंग?
का
हां
कर की चालू.
चालूच आहे, परत मग तुला लॅग मारायला रे ते.
No, should I just wait for this to
नाही
come
ना
back
लॅग.
and I'm just lying to the question Aviraj mentioned.
3 GB झालं एवढ्यात लगेच स्ट्रीमिंग रिलीज होतं.
I'll just go ahead and speak. Right. Okay, so I did answer part of the question for Adhiraj, and then our time has started. So I just quickly go ahead and answer the second half right now verbally. So the question Adhiraj had asked was generally what happens in industry is that not every time will every company give you the time. Depends on the kind of company you are in. My 2 cents from the kind of experience I have had, not only across startups, corporates, but also for freelance projects, is that depends on what kind of, as he mentioned correctly, if you are in corporate, there are high chances that you will get the time that you are asking for. Mostly if it's a product that is new, that you have absolutely no idea about, even the company has not clearly formed a strong cemented vision about it. But when it comes to startups, if it's a really growing startup making profits since last couple of years, they might still give you some time. But if it's something that's in the nascent stage, what happens mostly, the problem that you will face is convincing them for the importance of it. If I tell you the ground reality in India, mostly the startups are started by young college graduates or like young entrepreneurs. The age group that they are in, they generally come in with technical expertise and are mostly from a non-design background or from a marketing or business expertise. It becomes a real challenge to convince them to spend money on
Topla.
design in itself.
चार्जिंग लावायचं तर जर तुला
You might have seen a lot of times startups
चार्जिंग
release
लावतो तुझं.
products for beta testing or alpha testing with absolutely no design thought put in it. Developers come together, they create this really interesting feature, they just send it out. This is, it's not wrong, it's just that they don't have the kind of money to get designers on board. Designers are expensive. So if you are in a situation like that, avoid pushing for research, extra time for research, because it's just going to frustrate them. There you will have to be creative that how do you sort of try to get it done parallelly, where you are also in conversation with your stakeholders about, okay, who are the target groups, what are your thoughts and processes. If you take like a week to talk to them, you have to manage that on the side, sad but true. If you are in a freelance situation, you might not even get that, because mostly freelancers come when they already have like a detailed brief charted out. They might not need you to do the research because they have done their own market research and are pretty confident about it. What you will just need to do is go ahead and look at the ads that are out there. I'm just speaking from a very digital specific outlook. You look at the features that are there. You might suggest them one or two features that they are missing that they need to add, and then straight get to execution. So that would be my 2 cents as to how to ask for it and when to ask for it. If it's an existing good company, always make the point to ask for that research time, because talking to users does bring in a lot of value. But if you know that they can't afford it, don't press much. I have lost clients because I couldn't convince them that they need to do the research, but I was pretty confident that if they don't do it, this project is going to fail. So I had to drop that project. So take your call. That way, more the time goes by, then you will get as to what to do. I hope I have answered your question. Okay, so here we have an example that is set here, talking about a training app very similar to IntelliPad. So this is just like a list of examples of what the user end goals might be, based on which they will make a decision to use the product that is your training app. So here, for example, some examples are given that it might be an existing professional who wants to add on to their skill set and get a promotion in an existing organization. Or they want to jump to another company, so they want to add some they want to add some more certification so that they can get a higher salary based on the fact that the way we like start with a bachelor's but end up getting a master's, because master's people are valued a bit more than bachelor's. Reputed international organizations, they have certifications. Good design is appreciated, so getting to work at a place where good design is appreciated and values scaling a new skill, earning a certificate or something would come to IntelliPad to do this.
ती रेकॉर्डर लाव की खालचं स्क्रीन
Or
कॅप्चर.
just out of curiosity to understand what design is. There might be another fringe case where you are a developer but you want to understand design in order to work better with designers, so that can also be an user end goal. So there can be a longer list. So what you need to create a laundry list of user goals and then decide again which goals you want to address, which you don't want to address.
लय लांब चालवलंय रे आज
You
क्लास.
can go with the MVP approach in such case. Says, yeah, again, Prakash, MVP is the output. That might also need a lot of research based on what area it is, but I get the thought trying to
मूर्ती वाटतं.
work with minimal stuff that you have. Okay. Next is user research objectives. So first we understood that we have to understand their end goal. Next, what we need to understand is problems and pain points. Problems, pain points, frustrations, same things for same names for this, like one single thing. So identify the difficulties, issues or frustrations that user might face while achieving her goals using any existing product or service. So this is what you were all pointing finding out about quantitative research. That what is the place where it's their USP, what is where these brands are successful, what are those gaps that they are not catering to. So this is another flip method of identifying those gaps. To ask the users, okay, where are their frustrations? Somebody had mentioned that I'll go through the Google reviews to see how is their experience with those apps. So if you go through the reviews of all the apps, you sort of get an idea, okay, mostly users are having this problem. So here again, when we are looking at something similar to IntelliPad or a training portal, the issues can be there, many certification programs, but there is no personalized feedback and improvement areas are not guided. So you are just left to do it by yourself. You look at the videos, you do it, nobody is giving you a comment as to if you are understanding it right or not.
कोणतरी बघते यार व्हिडिओ
Most
लाईव्ह
content
माझे.
is limited to being a designer and not a design manager. So again, the amount of resources is out there. So mostly you will understand how to be a designer, like the design essence of it, how to make a product, but if you do not understand the decision-making skills, as I was mentioning, there are so many questions that you need to ask, analyze, then answer to even decide who your target should be. Kriti mentioned, okay, how do I decide who should I design for? Now that's a design manager approach. There you are already asking a very heavy question. So for that, again, you will have to break it down to smaller questions, as I had mentioned. So these things are not available. Difficulty to ensure authenticity, credibility of the program. Certain programs can be just poorly curated and you can't do anything about it once you've paid money. Poor clarity on how many prospective participants have been benefited. So these are few examples of pain points of somebody using training apps. Now, if, for example, we have understood end goals and we have understood frustrations. Anybody want to give me a possible end goal for somebody coming to our ice cream business? I guess all of you had already gave me few. One was stress relief. The other was chilling with girl gang, so like chilling with your friends. Another could be cravings, and then there's joyness. So these are all the end goals. Family time, so you come back from office, you haven't been here with your kids, you want to take them out. And so these are the end goals. Frustrations, relief, yes, that's a good point. We all are going through it right now. Relief in summer season. Now if we look at the same brief as to what can be the frustrations or pain points. I'll just start the course. Maybe first thing could be long lines in peak hours when they come to eat the ice cream, and too many options, so decision fatigue. I don't know what to buy. Everybody is taking too long to buy it. Anything else? Any pain point while using it? Not getting desired flavor. Okay. Another one that is connected to senior citizens. Just a hint.
Hey. बहुत ज़्यादा डिफिकल्ट है बाबा.
Health issues, basically.
चल हेल्थ फाइव
If,
होने
like, for
लगा.
example, not just senior citizens.
हेल्थ फाइव कैसी है?
When I go to an ice cream shop, if there's not a sugar-free option, I have issues. Okay, I don't know what to eat now. So points like that. Some people have certain health consciousness or concern that they need to address, and or people are grouped with allergic or might be allergic to certain things. People have certain philosophies where they are vegan or dairy free. So that way you have to have those options. If they don't have it, they approach those institutions and do not get much options. Apart from that, okay, higher price range, again, yes. There could also be not enough seating, like smaller parts could be not enough seating. Maybe something very small, like there is not, there the geography in which, like the placement of it, the location of it does not help you to, like, it's not kid friendly. It's right, ice cream parlors are generally beside main roads. Now it's it's risky for people to like park, get down if there is not enough space. So just giving you few loves a good vanilla ice cream. Uh, so Anita Kumari says affordability or not able to relate with their ice cream concepts. Yeah, that's also a point. Yes, there could be that. For example, you take your grandparents to some place like say Creamstone, or Creamstone still has some cafes, but okay, just to give you a comparison, you might have gone to Pabrais or Naturals. There you would get a lot of Indian names and Indian flavors. That's why you will see Naturals has a lot of family crowd.
या मी पिझ्झा
Because
घेत
it has something for everyone. But
लय
for
मोठं
Creamstone,
गोल्डचा
no,
10,000 एकदम कॉईन दिले मला
think that we can relate to
त्या अलादीन
budget-wise. So the crowd gets really small.
एक नंबरच आहे
So
अलादीन
that is
अलादीन
a good
डेंजरस
point.
आयटम आहे रे
Okay, let's now jump to. Oh, by the way, another point to what Akshay has said is that we can just extend it to the fact that sometimes overdoing stuff. Then we get a lot of
Last
Sunday,
game,
ice
Baba.
cream Sunday options where they will have like this and that and like
लय वेळ चाललाय रे
a number
क्लासात
of things.
20 मिनिटं
But they
एक्स्ट्रा
would not give you like a scoop of ice cream that like just like vanilla or just like chocolate. They won't have it. So that way also you can look at how brands are handling it. All right. Understanding user needs. Now, user can have a goal, but they can also have a more immediate requirement. A goal is an ambition that they want to eventually achieve. Like for example, somebody mentioned joy. Joy is a goal. The ultimate thing I want to feel is joy. But immediately what I want something cold for my dessert craving. Okay, and when I go there, what is more immediate is that when I go there, I want a shorter line. I want to just see like 10 flavors and choose from it. I need to read what is the flavor name without asking the salesperson. I want the flavor names to be there on top of the ice cream buckets. I want the allergens to be called out. So these are needs. Okay, for here, for example, if we come back to the training app example, what they have said is a user may need a multicolored highlight feature to highlight feature to prioritize or give meaning to highlighted contents of the book. So this is a very small point as to the fact that the user needs to bring in their attention to only certain parts of it while taking notes or while getting resources from the training institute, and if it's not highlighted, it's very overwhelming. Let's just quickly, now we have done ice cream, but we have done this. Let's quickly go back to the third one that we were doing, which is mental health. We did do target group for this, but do all of you want to quickly give me one goal and two frustrations and two needs for a mental health, or let's say not everybody uses a mental health app. We can go here, like travel planning app would be Think, Make My Trip. Okay, just an example, or Clear Trip or Booking.com. Think of these places. What you need to tell me is target group ka one goal. What do they want to achieve? Two frustrations. What are the issues that they might be facing with existing apps? Two needs. What are the things that they might need on top of what they already have in existing apps? Best deals, budget. Oh, people are super fast. I love how you all are so active in the chat. So we have some answers. So Pragya says budget friendly trip. I guess this is the goal. End goal. Best deals. That's also a good answer. Feel the happiness of traveling. That's like the eventual good. Best deal. Seamless travel experience. Yeah, this one is good. I think deals one is pretty good also because travel apps are available parallelly to already existing other things. Like I can book my thing from Indigo and then I can book my stay from Airbnb and so on and so forth. But I do it from say Make My Trip because it's so seamless. I do everything from one app, and then on top of it, I get discounts. End-to-end support, that's good. Safety and comfort, that's also good. Ease of booking, that's also a very good goal. Okay, Khushbu has gone ahead. Non-inclusion of, non-inclusion of desired properties. Okay, you might want to, properties, I guess you are talking about like hotels and all, right? That does make sense. Availability of homestays where a user feels like home. Is this a need? Goal to have fulfilling trip experience, issues not getting real info, customized info, needs to have the most authentic information, good offerings. Okay, pretty neat. The goal is a bit too open-ended, I would
Yes.
say. थोड़ा सा bring it
तानून
down
मारला
to
जरा
like
तान
a little more practical.
खौफनाक मौत कर दी बच्चे की मैंने तो
Goal like fulfilling trip experience, of course, yes. I mean, it is
ऐसी मौत बेचारे को कैसे मिल गई रे
why exactly they're using the
चलो
app.
let's try to unlock
Like, maybe you can say
new
have a
level
fulfilling trip experience without spending too much time on planning. That's a complete goal, Anika. So without spending too much time and effort on planning, still have a fulfilling
what
trip
we
experience.
have
Travel planning, genuine info about the
no.
location. That's a good point. Packages for solo travelers, a really good point. That's a good need, I would say. 10 point, lack of detailed itinerary. Yeah, not every app gives you a detailed itinerary. Need real-time weather updates. Oh my god, all of you are going to become really good product designers. That's a very good point, Avni. That's actually a loophole that you identified really fast.
shit
So that's
मैं तो भूल गया
okay. Main point, cancellation and rescheduling. Mohul, yeah, I guess you're talking about like flights getting cancelled.
मेलला का गेम चालू व्हायच्या आधी
Like the information architecture of you trying to reschedule a flight is very complicated. Affordable rates with authentic pics of hotels. So again, comes down to a lot of you have mentioned the same thing, that we need authentic information, and the frustration is that a lot of times the information is a bit tampered with. Recommendation being unrealistic, less package options, need if nearby tourist site detail available. It's there in a lot of ones, but that's a good need. Importance of sharing location with relatives for safety. Again, that's a good point. A fringe scenario, but good scenario. You should have like a share button somewhere. See, Avni, you and Akshay can pair up your things that you have said. So Akshay said that there are no itineraries. You are talking about sharing the details, location with for safety. So a good feature idea or a good need that you can point out is that a cohesive list or detail of my travel, which is an itinerary, that could be shared and live notifications of progress
कौन
be
है
sent to my family. So if my flight
जिसको
time
गेम
has
खेलना
ended,
पसंद
it
है
would send like a notification that Vidya must have reached her destination.
लय भारी गेम आहे मित्रांनो खेळून बघा एकदा
Something. Okay, just you can extend that need to
Haunted
that
Dog.
kind of a feature. A guide should be assigned as an option. I think Make My Trip has
Haunted Dog.
that's a good need that you should be able to book guides online, because guides on the ground can like rob you of your money. So transport on arrival and departure. I see a lot of needs. How about frustration also? Okay, we're done. Okay, good. So I think we all of us are pretty clear as to what are these things. Let's go to the next point. Okay. Finally, we have come to patterns or understanding user behaviors. Okay. So the objective is to seek to understand how users interact with a product or service.
अरे बाप रे आता तो घरातच घुसला तू
This will be an existing solution.
अब कुछ
whatever
नहीं हो
solution, as
सकता
I had mentioned, if the student
ये
does
तो
not have a
रहा अपने
therapist,
साथ
they will go to a and the
बहुत
way they
गंदा
talk.
मारा
You
है
have to understand and document that behavior. Now, care has to be taken that whenever you document behaviors, a lot of times we being humans, bias will kick in. We might make assumptions or we might look at certain things with a bias. So you have to be aware that you don't look at it from a subjective perspective, but a very objective perspective. You document things as is. There is no good or bad, there is no stupid or intelligent. You just have to document the way things people do. Okay. So here let's look at the examples that we give in case of an example of a training situation like that. Excuse me. So first is that choice of learning platform. So a lot of people choose a learning platform based on the recommendation from a colleague or a friend. Sometimes people just trust brand names, do not check the quality, if it really works for them, if it's customized for them,
लास्ट
but they
गेम
just
है
go by the
दोस्तों
brand name. If they find an instructor who is famous, who has a lot of credibility outside, and they would go ahead and pay for the whole training program if they get to access this instructor. There, a lot of people go through reviews, real world testimonials, and could be a combination of all these factors. So this is just detailing out on the basis of what do users select this product or service. This has not yet gotten into interacting with the product or service. If we extend this understanding to our examples, I keep moving from one brief to the other so that all of us can stay on our toes and understand this irrespective of what kind of app or brief we are given. Okay, let's go to this, where we have a mental health and wellness app. What do you think might be the reasons? Let's start with whatever example was given in our PPT. What might be the behavioral patterns on the basis of which select a certain mental health app? What can be the reasons? I will start you off. I selected the one that I use because I saw a lot of ads for it on social media. Reviews, that's good. Friends suggest. Yes, do friends suggest mental health apps? I mean, they do, I guess. Yeah, this could be like anybody's suggestion by other people. Social media content, felt good while using the app. Can you repeat the question? Yes, of course. So what we are doing right now is we are looking at that's on the screen, trying to understand the user behavioral pattern behind why am I using a certain mental health app. The third one was there.